Hi there, this is Kim, and welcome to this Quantum Change Kinesiology vlog. In this vlog, I'm going to again share a little bit of an insight into what quantum change kinesiology is and what you might be able to expect from a session by sharing with you an example of a session that I had with someone today. And now, usually the sessions that I have with people is where the person is experiencing some physical pain, some physical condition, and they would like some perspective in terms of getting to know and finding out what it is that their body is communicating to them about who they are inside of themselves, about the patterns that they're living, what their body is essentially trying to say through the pain, through the physical pain, where the pain is like you're not paying attention to something that you should be actually working on because you're living certain patterns in your thinking, in your reacting, in your behavior that are compromising to you and they're not best for who you are. So in this example, this specific person was experiencing kind of a small list of things, but one of these physical conditions that she was experiencing was a sudden pain in her heart, where she had these kind of jabbing pains in her heart. And what eventually tested out in terms of the issue for her to look at and work on and resolve inside of herself was, in a nutshell, that she was experiencing a personality design of having a tendency of going into fears, having a tendency of going into extensive fears, where the personality design connected with it was that of the nurturer. The nurturer would be, like the mother, someone who worries a lot, someone who, thinks a lot about others, someone who tries to take care of others. And, if you bring that image in your mind of the nurturer or the mother, then you might see that dimension of it being someone who goes into fear a lot, someone who worries a lot, someone who's in almost this constant state of panic and worry and almost being terrified, of bad things happening, or this idea of I need to keep everything under control, or I need to take care of and worry about, etc. So this was essentially a personality design that the person was dealing with, which meant that that was an experience that she was in general just going into as something that she copied from her mother, but also at the same time learned or developed as a coping mechanism at some point in her life due to certain things that happened, where these types of personality designs, basically, when you copy them from your parents, there are usually then also certain things that happen in your life where they become activated, and then you start living them, and then it's like you are accepting these copied designs and patterns as who you are, and thus become, in a way, the copy of your parents. So here, what she needed to specifically work on was essentially not just her fears, but for her, mostly her own fear of fear itself, because she then had a tendency to suppress her fears, to fear the fears themselves, to want to avoid the fears inside of herself, which was basically allowing these fears to accumulate and pile up to the extent where she was now experiencing this physical pain in her heart. Basically, her body's saying, hey, you need to be paying attention to this point. You need to be paying attention to what you are allowing yourself to do in your mind, because it's not what's best for you. So that was, in a nutshell, what quantum change kinesiology tests on, what it is, how it supports. And then obviously in the rest of the session, we look at what solutions can you apply, what solutions can she live to work through this fear, to work through this issue, and to change this personality design from it being this petrifying, this self-limiting, self-suppressing pattern into something that's actually constructive and supportive, where you can ask yourself, how can I live the nurturer in a self-supportive way? How can I live or be a mother or be caring or supportive towards others while not compromising myself, while not going into those fears and into the worry and into that self-suppression? How can I live this in a way that's actually supportive, not just for others, but most of all for myself? So that is one of the solutions that we have a look at and delve into. So I hope this was insightful for you, and if you're interested in getting to know more about what quantum change kinesiology is and how it can benefit you with issues that you might be facing in your life, in your body, in your mind, and in general, then please feel free to go visit our website, and if you're up for it, schedule a session. Bye.